So Samaritan happened. What can we learn from it? Let me start off like I always do by saying I don't think filmmaking is this great mystery that a lot of people make it out to be. I think it's language. I think you participate in it, you interact with it, you constantly work on it. It's about building fluency, and it's a lifelong pursuit of more fluency. That's where I'm at. Let's go ahead and do the color grade. It's a little different than normal because this is it's kind of baked in, but honestly, I think I could probably get it pretty close because it's not a tough one. How'd I do? Samaritan is basically what happens if Batman left situation. So there was a hero and a villain 20 years ago that died in a power plant explosion, and there's been no superheroes since, and as a consequence, crime and corruption and bad things have happened to this town. Things are bad, especially on the side of town where this little 10-year-old boy is. He says he's 13. For the sake of what I'm going to talk about, he's a 10-year-old boy. He meets Sly Stallone's retired superhero in hiding character who, to his credit, Sly Stallone has stopped aging. So he's either, got magic skin or he's become a higher species. I can't explain it. And then the third main character really is the bad guy who's just a stereotype of a comic book character. He has a lair in a junkyard. He makes speeches. He's very glowery and scary, and he wants to become a supervillain by blowing up a power plant. And so it took a while to find a take on this movie because, there's been a million superhero movies, and this, other than the fact that it's really a character story between the little kid and Sly Stallone, it didn't seem like there was a lot there. And then I thought about it. The whole story is really the point of view of a 10-year-old boy. The logic of the world, the logic of all that's going on. 10-year-old boy. I'm not convinced filmmakers did that on purpose. I will not apologize or try to justify the writing of this story because it is what it is. But I think they edged on something interesting, but because I don't think they realized what they did, they didn't really pay it off. And that's this idea that a 10-year-old boy's point of view is it's by its own nature, it's flawed. And so if you have the entire story from the point of view of a 10-year-old boy, which again, it's the little boy, it's Sly Stallone's aging superhero, and then it's this scary guy, but they all are a 10-year-old boy. 10-year-old boy wants to be a grown-up, he wants to take accountability, he wants to become a man, he wants to help out his mom with the rent. Sly Stallone's character is a tired superhero, and then the bad guy is just straight up the bad guy and wants to blow up a power plant. Which again, it's comic book logic, but also that doesn't negate the fact that the police are going to show up. So I don't, I think they could have done something really interesting. I think if the filmmakers really took this framework that is, what is the world of a 10-year-old boy, and put on some real context and said, life is more messy than that. Life has nuance. Through time and wisdom and experience comes a better understanding of how things work. And I feel like a couple moments, especially from Sly Stallone's character, we got there. Obviously, there was a moment where he gets frustrated and punches a hole in a wall. Makes sense for a 10-year-old boy. Kind of problematic in 2022, just saying. But then he also, at one point, the boy says, hey, you need to fight these people because you can fight for good. I can't. I'm a coward. I have to run. And Sly sits him down and says, hey, listen, running from a street fight is the right thing to do because you don't know how it's going to go. You can't predict it. What if something happens? You could die, which is a crazy, actually good take on what street fighting is. If you talk to any fighters or martial artists, yeah, you could just roll your ankle, hit your neck on the curb, and you're a vegetable. There is a level of risk that superhero movies especially don't even acknowledge, which I think was interesting. But again, the whole thing accumulates at a big power plant fight. So obviously they weren't trying to accomplish something that I'm describing. Yeah. So, but maybe a missed opportunity. I got to be honest. The movie didn't make any sense to me at all the first time I thought about it, and then once I was like, well, if I was 10, what would happen? Things fall into place actually quite efficiently. So I just think it would have been nice to really tease out the differences and really tell the story about the in-between, where we got the point of view of a 10-year-old boy and then the world that we all have to live in and suffer in general. I think that would have been interesting. They didn't do that. it is what it is. What do you guys think? Do we need more superhero movies? Is a nuanced character piece about you know, living in a world post superheroes worthwhile, or is this just, you know, Sly Stallone making a movie because his name is Sly Stallone? How do you feel? Let me know.